Last night was the first presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, many expecting that there would be significant price action in Bitcoin, but it remained somewhat flat. Seems that we are still in the summer doldrums waiting for a major catalyst, and perhaps that was not it. But we can dig into that, what the markets are saying and how Bitcoin reacted. More importantly, guys, you finally get to meet my epic team of experts contributing to the wolfofallstreets.com. The guys offering the research, backing me up on these shows, helping with newsletters, doing all of the things to help me make me look good. Well, now it's time to introduce you to them and make them look good as well. Hopefully this will be a much more regular thing. Guys, here comes the Wolf Pack. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. We're going to do this quick. We're going to get everybody on stage. David Haslop, Phong, and Mark GM. Good morning, gentlemen. What a day we have here. Mark, I mean, Bitcoin does not want to do anything right now, it seems, right?
It doesn't, but it is also doing pretty much what it does about leading into about 150, 160 days after the halving. So no panic mode yet.
Yeah, no panic at all. I think many people expecting that CPI, PPI, debates, politics, all these things are going to finally give us clarity in one direction. But to your point, I think there's nothing stronger right now than the cycle.
Right. So we have I have an interesting look. Maybe we can pull it up a little bit later. It's just a history of Bitcoin showing cyclic moves, what happens after the halving, what happens top to top, bottom to bottom, and historically Septembers are negative for Bitcoin. 10 out of 14. Well, now perhaps 11 out of 15 have been negative. Here's an interesting tidbit, though. 2 of the 4 that have been positive have happened in election years. So there is some hopium for a positive September by the end of the month. And Octobers and Septembers are typically blast offs. 20% October, 40% for November. So if the cycles hold through, that might be what we can look forward to. We'll see.
Yeah, and you've dug really deep into that. Just for people who are on the site in trading the trends, this is all very deep analysis. You can see here from Mark that goes into all of this. And actually, now we also have a section about where crypto meets politics. That was kind of your idea, where you go also deeply into those cycles. So for more on that, obviously we can't discuss it fully here. You can go there. But David, I want to also highlight here, you wrote 2 pieces here for the site specifically that say, has the bull run even started yet? Right. That's so really interesting kind of perspective there. We had this Bitcoin bull market, but everything else looks terrible.
Yeah, that's it, mate. So I think that, we still haven't seen the retail market come rushing into the space again, like we have in previous cycles. So, we've been front run by the ETF news and approving in the US there. And, a lot of the capital flow, or if not all of the capital flow, has been institutional money. So, I don't think that we've really hit our stride yet in Bitcoin. I think that the market's going to stay true to course, and 6 months post-halving is when we're going to see a little bit of a FOMO kick in and really see that retail market come in and get behind it. And I think the difference this time around is we are going to have a much higher adoption rate than we have in previous years as well. So even though the spend per person may be a little less, I think that we're going to see higher retail volumes and growth because simply more people know about Bitcoin. More people are trusting in Bitcoin than ever before because it's become a regulated asset, and the big boys and the banks are now backing it. So it gives the general community confidence in a risk-off asset, really. So yeah, I'm pretty bullish that the market hasn't even kicked off yet, guys. I think that we've been front run by ETFs, and we're going to have Rectember like we do every year in all the markets. October, I'm expecting a bit of a choppy sideways action leading into the election, and I think November is going to be a really, really good month.
Yeah, but they say sell in May and go away. but nobody
Yeah,
says, remember to buy back in September, right? When it's choppy and it's down, if you are anticipating, as everyone is, which makes me a bit fearful, but this huge fall, we should be dying right now at these prices to get in with a longer term view, in my opinion. And I want to dig into something you said. You talked about the fact that retail is not here. I think we can see that across pretty much every metric. And we know, obviously, if altcoins aren't moving, if we're not seeing cyclical pumps, that we don't really have anything but maybe the crypto washing machine. You, for those who don't know, David, he also runs, he's the founder of the Australian Crypto Convention. You're basically the king of crypto in Australia, right? You run the biggest conference there. But so that gives you anecdotal evidence of this, I would imagine, right? Don't ticket sales and like interest track the market to some degree?
This has been a good year for us so far. So we've definitely seen much more interest this year than we have the last 2 years, especially. But I think for us, we get a lot of insights from the businesses that we work with as well, not just the retail market. So we work very, very closely, as you know, with a lot of exchanges, and we get a lot of insights from exchanges, from brokerage services, and even fund managers. And these are people that I talk to on a daily basis, and even they're in total agreement with us that retail really hasn't FOMO'd into the market just yet.
Phong, that naturally leads to you, right? So for those who don't know Phong, he's a master researcher of Web3, DeFi. You've been working with Crypto Banter for a very long time. I had to even get Rand's permission to talk to you. It was like we were trying to date and I was going to pay a dowry or something, right?
Yeah, we didn't want to just overlap any type of information, but it's been awesome kind of being in this space, and it's the ups and downs of you experience of what DeFi has to offer, and what BTC now this year has been just really kind of tumultuous, right? We have the ETFs, just inflows, outflows. It's just it's just nuts. But in terms of DeFi, there's a lot of exciting stuff that that people really need to look at, because if you have yields that on stable coins that are pretty trusted, right? USDC, it's a household name. USDT, household name. You can just get some nice little extra yield than you would get in TradFi.
Yeah, and so it begs the question, kind of leading off of what David said, is retail's not here. We all take for granted that they will be, but what's going to bring them, I think, is the question that everyone wants to know. We know stable coins have been a killer app, but it still feels like every cycle we're like, it'll be RWA, or it'll be DeFi, or it'll be NFTs, or right. You're the one. So this is the section that Phong exclusively writes on the site, the Alpha Drop, and he does these incredible deep dives that you can read into multiple projects, updating these on a very regular basis. But you're seeing what's being built more than anyone else and really getting deep in the weeds. Are any of these things going to see meaningful mainstream adoption in this cycle?
I think so. I think Solana is obviously there, right? We have Breakpoint coming up next week. There's a lot of, I'm anticipating a lot of news that's going to be very, very positive for that. I did see that there's going to be 112 countries that are going to be there that have signed up and registered to be at the conference, which is just massive. From outside of Solana, you also have AVAX. AVAX is actually doing a lot of things that are very interesting. You have the powerful subnets that the DMV in California, I forget which city that was adopting that, but somewhere in California, the DMV has adopted the tech of AVAX. Gaming has gone off, going crazy with AVAX. Folks have caught on with that, getting their own little subnets. And then next over, it's I would say it's Optimism. Optimism is one of those like super chains that a lot of folks are looking at, and even Base, right? Base is backed by that, is using the OP stack, and that's pretty massive. And it's been successful. It's obviously Coinbase's L2 that they're using the OP stack, and it's been very, very positive and well accepted in the space.
Dave, you made a really good point that we make here often, which is that we sort of had an ETF bull market, right? So Bitcoin got all of its interest and people are just dumbfounded that it hasn't trickled down. But if someone buys an ETF and puts it into their investment account, it's not like they can FOMO out of it and into Solana meme coins, right? So I would argue that this cycle is exactly where it should be, except for Bitcoin's like $15,000 higher. Like I think if we hadn't have had the ETF approval, we'd be chopping at 40,000, 35,000, and altcoins would still be dead, and everybody would still be looking to the fall. I mean, do you agree with that?
Totally agree with that. In fact, I think the ETFs are just front runners, and that Bitcoin shouldn't be where it's at. And I think it's likely going to see some further downside and find more of a fair market value. And we're talking about the technology in the altcoin world, and there's so many projects out there that are building some really good projects. But the reality of it is money moves the markets, and most people, 90% of people that are in the markets, are here to make money, and they're still down on their investments. I don't think we're going to see an altcoin season until people are starting to realize positive gains on investments. And we haven't had an altcoin bull market yet, which doesn't traditionally come until we've had a real Bitcoin one, which we haven't had yet.
Yeah. I mean, Mark, you're pretty much a Bitcoin guy. Is that fair to say?
Fair.
Do you get does your skin tingle? Does your skin tingle when we start talking about avalanche and optimism and stuff?
I'm fine. It's okay. Everything's fine.
But still, objectively, when you look at it, is that how you're viewing this cycle as well? I mean, no matter if you're a Bitcoin maxi, otherwise, it's like you have to still realize that altcoins exist and that there's times when they do exceptionally well. So what would you be looking for to sort of see the cycle start to, kick in?
So a couple of things. First of all, to David's comment, there are some legitimate technical factors in play to back up your idea that the strongest part of the uptrend hasn't even yet begun. I'm talking about some major moving average crosses. That's kind of like my specialty when looking at technical analysis and charts. But we've got some moving average crosses that happened early in 2016, early in 2020 that still ended up doubling, tripling, quadrupling the price. So I do kind of agree with your sentiment on that. And it's interesting, Scott, because one of the videos I did make that is uploaded to the website specifically talks about election cycle moves, and it actually kind of shocked me. I'm very aware of what the S&P does prior to elections, which is basically tops in September. Everyone kind of de-risks. They're ready for the political shenanigans to begin and the world to end until the next person steps in to destroy the country. And then what happens is magically, now of course this isn't all the time, but magically, no matter what party gets elected, I'm sorry, strong supporters of the Democrats or the GOP, the stock market goes up after the election. Now there are periods throughout history where specific presidents have had an entire downtrend during their presidency, but that is the exception rather than the norm going back 100 years. So what we're seeing right now, and also we got to realize what's happening fundamentally. We are in an era of high yielding interest rates. There are trillions of dollars sitting in money markets, 5% money markets. I know a couple of people. I had a conversation with a 75-year-old guy a couple of days ago, ready to take some of that money out and put it into Bitcoin, right? But until, and this is my point that's leading to the altcoin comment. Historically, the altcoins move, yes, after Bitcoin has shown some strength, and also when there is a little bit of quantitative easing, when the risk on, and we're not there yet. That might not happen until 2025, and we might even see a bit of a recessionary drop prior to that sometime in 2025. I don't think we're going to see anything end of this year myself.
In the 2000s, every time that there's been an inverted yield curve and an uninversion of the yield curve, then the Fed pivots, then stocks dump.
Scott, this is something every time I intend on uploading a video showing specifically that. Now, it's not always a market crash. Sometimes it's a solid 50% dump. Sometimes it's just a 20, 25, 30% drop. But yes, and the yield curve has not fully yet reverted. I mean, it has, yes, the 10-year is bringing back a greater return than the 2-year currently, but they could flip around really easily.
Yeah, I want to see that close the month uninverted personally to start to talk about it, because we've seen it tap it and then end up back down below.
So and let me say this. This is one thing I have embraced as far as the altcoin world. I do realize that it's an entire circular economy. It's without the profits, the massive profits that smart traders and smart investors, because I think most people lose money on Bitcoin, trying to trade Bitcoin and altcoins. But the smart ones understand the cycles and they know how to read dominance, and they take the profits, and then you can see it trickling. You get into the Bitcoin, then it goes into the large caps, then it goes into the small caps, and then it flushes around until there's no more energy left in the markets, right? So I do believe that profits that have been generated from altcoins have brought hundreds of billions of dollars into the cryptocurrency market, and that
indisputably
it flows up to Bitcoin. It does.
You cannot dispute.
Eventually.
I talk about this all the time. Yeah, eventually. That's right.
Eventually.
In the bear market, when people get wrecked, and then right. But I mean, this cannot be disputed, no matter what your opinion is on which tokens are good. The last bull market was driven by people signing up to centralized exchanges to trade Doge, and by NFTs, which started at NBA Top Shot and ended up with PFPs. But I'm not saying that brought people into Bitcoin or not. That is what drove the retail interest into crypto and brought all of the money. This time, you don't need to sign up to a centralized exchange to trade memes, which is, I think, why we've seen this crazy sort of meme bubble. But Phong, since you're deeply researching Web3 and DeFi and all of this, do you think that this time we see that same thing? Or do you think that now, because the framework has changed, because DEXs are bigger and because Solana is what it is, do we need to see Bitcoin to Ethereum to Solana? Or because we've just seen literally a barbell, right? Bitcoin went up and everything Solana went up and everything else destroyed. That is not the same thing we've seen before.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts when you look at the Sol to BTC, that chart, and then you compare that to the ETH BTC. It's opposites. They're polar opposites. Everyone loves Solana. Everyone thinks that it could be a cheaper ETH killer, and no one really says that these days. The ETH killer or the Solana killer. But yeah, if you look at Solana, I mean, you have all this. The playground is filled with great products and trusted products, like Camino was a lending platform. You have Drift, and I actually have to highlight Drift before we end the show, because Drift is there's some really good alpha with that. But I also think that when you said NFTs, that everyone kind of got into that space, buying a Bored Ape or buying whatever in Yuga Labs, and that basically kind of fizzled out a little bit. But NFTs are not going to go away. I think that I think it's pretty apparent that if they're still around today, they're gonna be here for a while. But yeah, it's a different playground. I think when it comes to BTC, ETH, and Sol, I think Sol is probably going to be the bigger player here. I'm probably not going to have any type of holding of ETH at all moving forward. I think for me, if I want to have that extra
Now
bang,
you're talking dirty to me. My ETH's going to go up. I'm just
yeah. So I'm not a meme guy. I've avoided that whole meme craze.
Me too,
and I look at it in disgust when things are going up 10 to 100x. I'm not into it. I'm still not into it. But they still.
I'm happy for those that are making bank. Don't get me wrong.
But most are not.
But there's just so many people losing money on it, and the whole meme bubble has just. I'm with you. I've totally avoided it completely. I'm not playing.
If things are going up fast and coming down fast, nobody's making money except for the person pushing it up fast and down fast. But then the narrative is, look, it pulled 100x. But the implication that retail made money because it pulled 100x is nonsense, because they don't sell the top and they don't buy the bottom and they don't exit at all. They're all still holding all the memes that they were buying that entire time that are now effectively down to zero. It's just, it just is what it is.
I couldn't agree more.
Really,
and I think NFTs are in the same boat. However, I think the future of NFTs will become more sophisticated in the terms of sophisticated investment. So, people
not monkey pictures.
No, God, no. And I thought the whole thing was totally stupid at first. And then when I learned more about the actual technology and the utility that could be put into NFTs, that's when I got really bullish on the NFT technology, not on the NFT trading. The buying and the selling of monkey pictures penguin pictures and shit. So, putting music on NFTs and things like that, that's something that gives the technology great utility. And that's something that sophisticated investors will get behind.
And that's one of those things that we saw a lot of excitement for that was 5 to 10 years out.
Yeah,
when and that's what always happens in crypto. We get this like AI and crypto, the natural marriage, and like 10 years later, we see some real AI and crypto adoption. Like DeFi summer was already 4 years ago, or whatever, and we're still seeing the meaningful developments there. I mean, I did buy a Bored Ape at the dead bottom on Black Monday because I had put a promise out years ago that if they ever drop below 25,000, I would buy one when they were like 250,000. And I got eviscerated when I said they were going to 25,000, but I sold it and made 4 ETH like 2 weeks later. So I do not currently own a Bored Ape again, for full transparency. I guess they're pretty cool, but no, that was a trade for me. But I think it just leaves us begging the question, really, what is it just the cycle, as we said at the beginning, or is there a catalyst we can look forward to come? Because now everyone wants to know 25 or 50 bips. But Mark, we already established if they do 50, which would be more liquidity, shouldn't that panic the market? Like, shouldn't people say, why the hell are they doing 50 if things are so good?
Well, I don't know if it will panic the market, but if it gets to 50 or higher than that, then yeah, we start getting into recessionary cutting, and we could look for a market. I've seen on Twitter, I've seen the mainstream media saying that the soft landing has already been established, and I don't know if I agree with that. I think we have to give it a little bit more time. What's going to happen in September, it's going to probably be a quarter point, and it's just token. It's just an election token. It might ease a little bit, but I don't think that's going to shake up the markets in any specific way. But yeah, let me say something about what you're talking about. What is it going to take? Is it just cyclical? When I took a look at what Bitcoin did after the election, while I was making the video we uploaded to the website, it actually made me laugh because I didn't even realize how extreme it was. But there's only been 3 Bitcoin has had. This is the 4th election, and it literally just goes straight up after the elections. And actually, that kind of worries me because I'm kind of waiting for a rug pull on this, right?
That's what I'm saying. There, we have this consensus of this like massive bullish fall, which should happen, but a consensus. I hate consensus.
Yeah, it's almost too easy. And let me say this: I covered this on a stream with Tone yesterday. We kind of dug really deep. The structure is set up incredibly bullish. I think it could. From a technical standpoint, I want to see 53K hold lows for Bitcoin, and that probably equates to around $2,100 and $2,100 for ETH, and maybe 120 for Solana. But if it drops down to 47K, there's one pattern that will save its life that could still project it to $100,000 by the end of the year. And I know it sounds crazy, but it is technically and statistically possible for that to happen. But I would prefer to see this 53K area hold as a macro higher low off of 50K.
Exactly.
It will be one of the. It will be, if you're looking at the chart Scott's showing, going back to April, kind of off of that first top, we've just seen highs, lows, lower highs, lower lows. He's on a daily chart. There have been some small uptrends, but the overall trend is lower highs, lower lows. So what we need to see is an established higher low, which we have currently at 53K, and then start printing some higher highs above the $65,000 that he has marked.
See that? Mark and I, you can tell we're both from the same place, from the same time. His dad was my math teacher. How do you think I know this stuff?
He's on it. So let's just see what happens. What you were saying about coming back in September. Yeah, I think August and September offer chances to accumulate if you're taking money that you're not needing for any time soon, a couple months, a year or two, and willing to risk, kind of assume maybe we have a crash. But mid-September, we're kind of at the end of what I would consider to be the post-halving accumulation phase right now. We're literally in it right now. So we're going to get some good information coming into the end of September and early October as far as price is concerned, in my opinion.
Okay, so I think literally everybody who knows anything about Bitcoin and crypto says dollar cost average Bitcoin. This is a great time to be buying, perfect time of the cycle. There's no interest, whatever. Phong, does that apply to altcoins in general, specific altcoins? I think it's very clear that your belief is Solana will perform well. I think you've made that clear. I tend to agree. It led the entire way up. There's some meaningful adoption, but like, is that the only thing you would be comfortable sort of come back and said, remember to buy in September? Or are there other things that might be on your radar? Do we generally see altcoins go up altogether again in an alt season, or is it going to have to be very selective, I guess, this time?
I think this time around, especially this bull cycle, folks have gotten really savvy. If you looked at last cycle, everything went up, no matter what you bought. Everything 10x, 20x, whatever it is. Everyone enjoyed their money. But this time around, folks are really become sophisticated. They're smarter, especially for the folks that this is the second or third time bull cycle that they're experiencing. But yeah, for me, I think it's making your concentrated bets into ecosystems that are almost guaranteed to thrive. And this is 99%. For when I say guaranteed, it's always that 1% that you need to have a buffer. But I wanted to highlight just one project, especially in the last 24 hours. So I'm going to share my screen really quick.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Can you guys see this drift analysis and valuation?
No, I can't. Your screen's not there for me to share. So,
oh, sorry about that. Okay.
We're good. Here it comes. There you go.
Okay. So this analysis and valuation is brought to you by Multicoin.
Tushar is one of the heads of Multicoin.
Absolutely, yeah. So very, very well known. They led the one of the rounds for Drift, and so
they
if
led
you want
the
to
Solana rounds too. For anyone who doesn't know, they did all the raises for Solana.
Yeah. So this report is very simple. You just look up Multicoin Capital and just look up Drift. And one thing I wanted to kind of talk about is they have an executive summary, but if you go to the bottom really quick and look at based on evaluation with the framework and market assumptions, which we outline in the report. We value Drift at a base case of $3.58, which is currently 7x at the current market price. Current market price for this is very interesting. It's an interesting level. It's basically close to 50 cents. So this is one of those valuations that kind of caught my eye, especially this report came out yesterday. One of the things, you can kind of take a look at this if you'd like. But yeah, it came out yesterday, September the 10th. Very interesting analysis and valuation here. So Drift is definitely on my radar, especially with the Solana ecosystem. So yeah, that's what I have.
Okay, so David, like as we round this out, I mean, if we're going to get a cycle and this is the accumulation time, in your mind, what could be worth accumulating? Non-financial advice, guys, just general like outline. Yeah, obviously. I mean, I think personally, I would say I actually like accumulating Ethereum while it's beat down. Certainly Solana and Bitcoin. Everything else, I'm not quite so sure about. But go ahead.
I'm probably more in line with Mark that he doesn't want to admit in terms of being more leaning towards a Bitcoin maxi than not. And I won't say that I am a Bitcoin maxi, but I'm more that way inclined than I'm not, I suppose. I've just seen so many thousands of people over the years get wrecked every cycle through altcoins, so I just try to steer clear of them. However, I do like finding some hidden gems and getting some projects that I like to get behind as well. So there's one project called Nexa that I really love, and it's developed by a team of people from Bitcoin Unlimited, and they actually helped develop Bitcoin Cash. So they sort of branched off from Bitcoin Cash, and now they're starting a new thing called Nexa. It's about 2 years old now. And
they left Bitcoin Cash to die.
maybe not. I'm not really sure what happened there, to be honest. But I know the team personally, and I'm backing them myself. Like, it's an investment that I've made personally myself. So it's not that I'm, going to share a chart or investment advice or anything like that. It's just something that I'm really getting behind, and I know that they do share Satoshi's vision in what they're building. It is a proof of work project, so it's something that I personally feel like I can get behind. But ultimately, it's just Bitcoin and ETH for me. And obviously, I'll play in some alts when it's time, but only very small amounts of capital. I don't like to deploy huge capital into small caps. So it's just not a game I personally like to play. I just like to stick to the big guys. And I do a lot of leverage trading as well. So again, I need the liquidity in the market. I can't trade with small caps.
I mean, were you, as a leverage trader, are you at all interested in this chop that we've been having, or is this like sit on your hands and just wait until better conditions?
To be honest with you, normally I'd say yes, but I'm at like my busiest time of the year right now, so I just don't look at it. I'm more of a high time frame guy. Like I'll play the big swings. I'll trade daily to weekly candles, and I've spent my time in the chop. I've spent my time trading small time frames. I've been wrecked so many times. I've made money so many times. It's just, it's not worth it most of the time. And I just have more sanity playing in the high time frames, and I find that it's more profitable anyway. So the market and the liquidity in the market reacts better on a high time frame.
Dude, dudes with little kids can't day trade.
No, man, no way.
And the natural progression of day trader degenerate to swing trader is like how much many activities your children have.
Well, so
not many people make it that far, really.
It's true.
So to David's point, this is kind of what my goal is in my little section of our product here, is to help people understand where we are in the overall trend. That's something. So I learned a lot of stuff from Tyler Jenks. He was an incredible incredible trader. He was an institutional investor and money manager, and one of the most straight up guys in the world. And he taught us you can go look at old hyperwave channels, and he just put out so much information for people to look at. But understanding where we are in the trend macro wise keeps you in the game. A lot of people end up thinking it's over, and we'll see the market go up another 50 or 100%. But if you actually have a really good grasp on where things are standing, so I'm still buying dips. I literally bought 50,000 and I bought 52.6 to the dollar based on technical analysis.
And he tells us exactly when he's doing it. So
I do, right? I put my money where my mouth is, but it's all based on TA. It has nothing to do with anything else except for technical analysis and me believing that it still is a macro uptrend and these are dips worth buying. The hard part is figuring out when the trend is over, and we're never going to get the top. So there are ways to sell into the tops. We will discuss this on the website. I've got some strategies on how to do that, but I totally agree with David. Sticking to the large time frames. Don't get yourself chopped up when the price is sideways. It will take your money. That's what the markets are designed to do. Take your money and put it in the hands of bigger money, smarter traders and players. Yeah, for sure.
Don't be that guy. Yeah,
can I say one other thing real quick, Scott? I'll bring this up probably many times in future broadcasts, but I believe strongly, firmly, 100% in the mantra of technical analysis over fundamental analysis, TA over FA, right? Now, fundamental analysis is very, very important because it will give you an idea of where you want to put your money. And once you do that, because what happens on Twitter and in the cyberspace is the narratives. Oh, the price is going down because of this, right? We just had this news released. Well, I've learned through the years, particularly studying traditional markets, the news gets released according to what is happening in the charts. And all that it does is it keeps markets flexible, and it gets the prices to where they're going anyways. They were going to be going there anyways. The news gets released. It keeps things liquid, right? So getting a general understanding of some basic technical analysis, I believe, is super important. And what we're doing here is going to help people with that. That's one of our main goals. So, in the
I love you, Mark.
Friends corner.
And I can see Chris. The best part is that Chris is back in the wings, and I can see him nodding, and his head was like, when you said technical analysis over fundamental analysis, I thought his camera was going to break because, it's shaking so hard. It really does distill and simplify things down into a much easier way to, I think, understand the market. Guys, we've gone way over time. I appreciate all of you. So listen, you guys, I'm inviting you guys back regularly. I want to do this. Like I said, this is where I get my insight and ideas. and to understand the market. Nobody can do this on their own. It's all obviously on the website, which we just launched. These guys are working their asses off to give you guys objective, fair analysis. There's no bias in it. It's literally what we're all looking at, how we're looking at it with, meaningful data and thought behind it, right? Not here's your 9,000x next altcoin. Here's what we're trading, get wrecked. None of that.
Smart
so
money.
guys, go, the wolfofallstreets.com. You guys can check it out. Guys, thank you so much. Next week I'm in Singapore, so we won't do it. I'll be with David, but maybe the week after we'll come back and do it again. So guys, also please follow all three of these guys on X. They're offering this stuff out there for free. And David's going to fly our whole community out to Australia in November on his dime. The Australian Crypto Conference.
Scott will chip in.
Okay, maybe I'll help. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Mark, Phong, David.
Great job.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Cheers.
All right, there we go. Awesome. And so David's in Australia, so it's like probably midnight for him. He stayed up. Phong probably has to go back to his real job. And like I said, Mark, I won math competitions in 7th and 8th grade with Mark's dad, and I was his assistant teacher at one point. If you want to get really deep, we've been around for a while, this crew, and somebody else who's been around for a while and was nodding back there. You liked it, Chris. You liked it. You loved Mark's little speech right there.
Yeah, for sure, man. Again, I think he said it extremely well. Everybody focuses on the the economic news events and all these narratives and whatnot, but at the end of the day, they're always reactions to things that have happened. As I continue to say, the fastest way to understand how people are feeling is the financial markets. It's almost instantaneous response. If they're feeling good about things, they're going to put money in the markets. If they're not feeling so good, if they're worried, if they're concerned, they're going to pull money out of the markets. And so, if you want a just the quickest, fastest way to really kind of understand how the market's feeling at that time, you just kind of watch what the markets are doing. The market participants are feeling at that time. You watch what the markets are doing. So TA, when done correctly, okay, well, we'll do it this way. When done correctly, it's like anything else.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people, especially in social media, don't actually take the time to really learn how to do it properly.
Yeah, they do this. They go, here's the trend line that I like.
Yeah.
Watch, guys. This is this one. You see all the touches?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, that
exactly.
one wasn't good. I was wrong. This one. Oh, no, that wasn't support. This was support. Yeah, we know. We've seen it before.
So, and unfortunately for new traders or people who are new to the market, again, I came in way before we had all this social media and internet and whatever that we have. But, when you first come in, things start looking crazy, right? And you're like, okay, well, where can I get some help? And there's a lot of people online who want to, help you. And you follow them. And if you don't know what you don't know, then it looks like, okay, sure, it makes sense what they're doing. It's only until later that hopefully you figure out that maybe they don't. But
it's a meme, but teach a man to fish. Everybody knows, right? I mean, you shouldn't be going anywhere for somebody to tell you what to buy and when, because they ain't going to tell you when to sell. They're not going to remember to tell, even if it's not malicious, they're not going to tell you when they sold 25% of their position. Even if they do, maybe you didn't see that tweet, or maybe you were offline that day. You have to have your own plan and your own skill set, even if it's very basic.
Yeah. And along those lines, one of the biggest things we deal with when we're looking at somebody else's analysis is we don't usually understand exactly how they approach markets and what their kind of risk tolerance is. Risk tolerance is a huge thing. And the other thing being when we go in there, especially online, so for me, most of the stuff that I post online is more macro trend related, right? So looking at larger accounts, sometimes I'll put in something more local, but like what you said, you're not always going to be on there for the local stuff. So I try to keep the bigger picture in mind. But if you're somebody coming in and you're just thinking locally and you look at the larger one, and it's hard to wrap your mind around, oh, well, it's taking so long to do that and it didn't happen right away, so you're definitely wrong. Just a lot of stuff, a lot of pain points that we put in ourselves, just with the lack of understanding. Yeah.
So now, what are you looking at on those charts when reviewing technical analysis? I think there was a high expectation that we'd see volatility during the debate. I don't know how you felt about the debate. Like, talking about politics is the worst thing ever, because I really feel like I'm relatively unbiased. And I felt like there wasn't much policy discussed. So all you can talk about is like who sounded whatever. And I'm not even going to do it. Forget it.
I'll say I'll say this much. I'll say Kamala came out and sounded a lot better than expected. I think most people expected her to kind of flounder a bit, and she ended up sounding better than what we expected. But
turns out she's actually an attorney, I guess,
Well, and the other part, to give a compliment to Trump as well, he's usually very bullish, it's just where he comes from, New York, it's the style over there. But for him, he didn't really interrupt a lot. He waited. And I think this is growth in what he does, as far as his debates go. So I think they both,
they
maybe
didn't say
did
crypto
better.
though.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, did it really, I don't think it's going to do anything. So yeah. Oh, by the way, real quick, man. Hey, today is actually the 7th anniversary of TWC, man.
No way.
Today is, today. As a matter of fact, that would be 7 years ago that you first joined.
I know that because I might have been one of the people that encouraged you to do it, but no. So that was when it was the Trello group. Trello, is that what it's called?
Man, I think it might have even been before that. But yeah, that was back in the day when we were trying to figure out how we're going to do this. What are we going to do?
Yeah, people want to know how old school this stuff gets, man. I tell you, Mark, Mark's family I've known since 1988. 1987. But you and I, we got 7 years of history of it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, crazy
That's
times.
amazing, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. And look at what you've done.
It's
media mogul now, right?
What a time to be alive. So congrats, and you guys should be checking out Texas West Capital. It's where I learned almost everything. I mean, honestly, guys. So it's whatever. And that's why I continue to talk to smart people, bring them on the show. I always want to be learning more. I always feel like I'm a student still, no matter how long I do this for. But listen, so the Bitcoin chart, it's still sideways.
Yeah. So if we look at it
can't
here,
see your chart. Yeah.
Oh, geez, not sure. I'm sorry about that. Let me see here. I thought I already had that on there. How did I miss that? Let me see. Is that the right one?
You were nodding so hard when Mark was talking.
I'll tell you, it was saying good stuff, man. Saying good stuff.
Knock that chart right off.
Yeah. So we're kind of looking at this is the 4 hour. I had posted yesterday that I was looking for this move up toward the R1 pivot and then a pullback to the pivot and then this rally up and out. It looks like we got a flat correction here. So the way I'm kind of looking at the moment here is this is a 1, 2, this is a 3, and then an A, a B, and a C because we've only got 3 waves up. So, looking at this to be a wave 4. And if we can get this rally off here, it'll get us up there. Let me see. This is the Coinbase chart, Bitcoin USD. Up there around 59,395 or so. And so the blue line is the 50 MA, the red line is the 200 MA. So, makes a lot of sense. Start off with the 50 here, rally up to the 200, pull back down here toward the 50, the pivot here, give us that 50% pullback, and then take off. So, locally, that's what I'm looking at. If we go here, we just start breaking down below this hourly pivot here at about 55,740 or so. At that point, I'll have to relook at it and go, okay, well, what else is maybe going on? It doesn't look all of a sudden as bullish as it was. But that's the importance of, setups and waiting for them to play out as we do it. But, as far as this bigger picture goes, again, I'm still thinking this is a spring here, the volume profile, the nice long wick, that all kind of works out real well. Potential leading diagonal here. We got a pullback of 78.6% right here in 3 waves. So, and the pullback here, because of the amount of volume coming in on this spring relative to these other swing lows here, especially way over here, we would expect a test, which is just a higher low on a much less volume. And we may have potentially gotten that right here. But, again, so I'm kind of looking at this to quite potentially hold as support here. And this being, the low. But if we do break down, nothing's changed. It just gives us a 50% retracement to around, just shy of 43,000 over here. Typical wave 4. So, again, no real surprise. I wouldn't be heartbroken if that happened. And I would expect that if we did get this move down here, that it would be similar to kind of like this move right here, just at a bigger kind of movement there. So I don't expect it to, take any time down there or whatever. So, Bitcoin's still looking all right. We just need some further upside to kind of, get this real kind of confirmation going in. I've got a couple of charts here. I've got Caspa here.
People love this.
Similar here to kind of like that Bitcoin. We've got the big drop down, maybe a leading diagonal here. We've got 3 waves on the drop. So if we can get up above this 0.168714 right here, that should lock this in as a 3-wave corrective. And at that point, our initial target is 0.24, secondary target up here at 0.275, up there on the move out from here. So we're just looking for that breakout just a bit higher there to say that more likely than not, that low is in, this low is in, and we're heading up toward those target areas. TRX, still looking interesting. I'm looking, right now we're holding at the pivot here, showing up on the daily. So if we can break from here without breaking any lower, if we can head up here and break that 0.1617 level, that I've got a target there, 0.186 here. So, again, we've got this fair value gap. We're kind of sitting in there on the pivot, low volume node. This is a perfect area to rally from. But we needed to do it. So we just want to see if we can get that. If we can, again, we should be looking toward that target up there. I've got, pull this one up here. This is TIA, USDT. Once again, we've got potentially 3 waves down here. We've got a, not quite a 70.5 pullback from here. Now, this could maybe break down a little bit further here, and then maybe it's like a WXY. So we could see it coming down a little bit lower here. But what are we looking for? We're looking for a breakout above, without breaking down lower here, below the swing low. We're looking for a breakout above that 4.288. And if we get that, that should then have us headed up here. I think we're going to run, liquidity up here, 6.126. But locally, from where we're at right now, that gives us like a 5.128 initial target, and then a secondary target around 5.457. But the key is you don't want to sweep the low here, and instead you do want to break out above this 4.288 level. So that's what we're kind of watching for. Again, it's all about the setup, right?
Could you do me a quick? Oh yeah, when you're done with that one, go ahead. No, last one. Yeah,
okay.
I want to ask you something. Yep.
All right, FET. I love the breakout here. We've got multiple touches and a close touch there. We came back, we retested. I mean, this is a great, as far as a diagonal goes, it's a great, I think level to watch there. This is, appears to be 3 waves down here, and we've broken out above it. So, my initial thought is we've got a target of 1.8816 and then a secondary target up here right around 2.5447 area there. So, looks pretty good to me right now at this moment. We just want to see some follow through toward those targets.
Yeah, my question was, Des asked, DXY will be cool to see if you're looking at the dollar here, because I think a lot of people, and right before the stream, I was talking to David, who was up here before, and he had some thoughts on DXY and thought it could be kind of impactful. So probably worth looking at really quickly. Yeah,
I can pull that up. Let's see here. Give it a minute. By the way, I noticed FedWatch, they didn't increase the 50% odds.
They did, you said?
What was that?
They did increase it, you said? I thought.
No, they didn't.
They
didn't.
Okay, didn't.
I think they increased the 25% odds. I hadn't looked at it in a bit, but I remember last time it was around 79. Right now, we're at 85% on 25 basis points. So, I still think that's what we're going to get. Long story short on the DXY, potentially a 1-2, could be an AB. If it's an AB, it gives us closer targets. 93.97 would be the target on this move down here. But if it's a 1-2 and a 3, we'll head on, much lower into the 70s, ultimately get us 5 waves down. We've got this basic diamond pattern here, broke down, rallying back up, still finding resistance there. But yeah, I mean, to me, it looks like we're going to continue heading lower. If you want a really good look here, if we can sweep this 99.22 level here, you should definitely be looking down at least around this 93.97, if not 91.12, and then 86.795. So, weaker dollar, which makes sense. If we see, Fed liquidity kind of ramping up, we should expect, you know, the dollar to get weaker overall. And, you know, at the end of the day, it just depends, you know, it's among other things, you know, how much is that liquidity relative to the other countries, relative to Japan, relative, because the DXY, of course, is not the dollar itself. It's the dollar pairs relative, you know, weighted average, you know, against each other. So, yeah, I mean, to me, we're sitting below the weekly pivot. And so for me, that's pretty bearish. And so my expectation would be that we do continue lower overall with the DXY. Maybe just a shorter term kind of bump and rally like we're kind of doing right now.
Awesome, man. Well, happy 7th birthday.
Well, I appreciate that.
Amazing. You guys have to go check out TX West Capital. I know we tell you about the wolfofallstreets.com and I've got my own thing, but still send you to Chris, man.
And we're actually going to do a you know, we've always been about education. That's been the big thing, you know, that's been what we do. But we're actually about to launch something called TWC Traders Club, where we can get in there and you'll actually be able to trade the same trades that I'm taking. You know, it's not just here setups. These are the trades I'm actually taking, myself and a few of our students who have done extremely well. And so be a wealth of trades to take up each week there coming on that. So that's coming pretty quick here too, in celebration of the 7th year.
7 years. All right, guys. We'll follow TX West Capital. Chris, thank you so much, man. I'm going to stay on for a couple more minutes, but appreciate you as always.
All right. Appreciate it.
Awesome, guys. I see, it's funny. I see Valerie says, well, Des, looks like you're a VIP. Des is the ultimate VIP, guys, here. Sorry. Love you all. I love you all, but he is. And he is right, though. Valerie, we're all VIPs here. Des is in the wolf pack. He's over there checking out the site all the time. I wanted to flag one more thing on here that you guys may not have seen that we didn't show you. So we obviously have all of this content here on the wolfofallstreets.com being updated all the time. I will show you that I wasn't going to show this, but I use the global news feed now every day. This is where I find everything for the newsletter, etc., because it's all of the meaningful news in a fire hose. 8 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. If you want to keep up, way better than going to Twitter and seeing people's opinions. You can actually, get the actual news here. And then this section down here, the Alpha Pack. This is the people, it's the higher end, obviously, some subscription, but every Friday, myself or one of the members, but will be myself unless I'm traveling. I do an hour-long Zoom call where you guys can we just kick it. You ask me literally anything you want. You can see it. This was the first one here. And the awesome thing is right now it's relatively small because we're new. And I really dug in deep with the people that were there. It was amazing. Like, keeps me so accountable. I lost my voice almost because I was talking for a full hour doing it nonstop. But yeah, I mean, you'll get basically a few on one AMA every single Friday, or another day if it starts to work better. And more importantly, like, this is in beta, the whole thing. That's how I view it, at least. And it's only going to build and become a meaningful platform if we get your guys' feedback and you give us ideas. So we had a lot of people say, hey, you guys are talking about politics all the time. And so we literally just added a section, and Mark is crushing in there, where crypto meets politics. I'll be adding things there too, but he's looking at it from a chart perspective. What's happened in these cycles? What can we expect? Right. And we're just going to keep adding things. It's going to become a full platform where you can get all of your data, all of your tickers. So you'll just go here as we build it, and it'll be the one-stop shop for everything you need. Even if you don't want our analysis, you'll be able to go here and see what's happening in the market objectively, tickers and indicators and everything. We're paying for it. We're building it all. KG, can we pay for Wolfpack and crypto? I'm waiting for BitPay. I'm waiting. Yes, you will be able to, but right now you can't, unfortunately, yet. But guys, like, I really want you to follow everybody that we have on this show, even if you don't want to subscribe. Like, these guys give away a lot of this on a daily basis on their X accounts for free. They're down below. Mark, Phong, obviously, and David. And there's a lot of other people behind the scenes. Like, I don't have the kind of team that a lot of these people have. I have ADHD. I'm the worst businessman. I'm a terrible manager. These guys are managing teams of 70, 80, 100 people. I was like 2, and now we're like 5, and so if I trust them, I think you guys should trust them. And if I follow them, I want you guys to dig in and follow them as well. That's all I got for you guys today. The wolfofallstreets.com. check it out. Otherwise, see you on Twitter Spaces in about 18 minutes and back here tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Love you guys. Thank you always for being here, for joining, being part of this incredible community. Goodbye.